Breaking news in Arena. We've got some great news, and I think you're going to love it. So, as of February 14th, 2019, there was an emergency ban of Nexus of Fate is banned for in Arena standard formats. Nexus of Fate is not banned in traditional or specialty formats. This is effective today, February 14th, 2019. Happy Valentine's Day. This is some of the greatest news we've had for the game, for mainly Arena, and I'm happy to see it. Nexus of Fate, to ban or not to ban Nexus of Fate? It's been quite the debate. There are a lot of things we look at when deciding to ban a card, but ultimately it comes down to answering two basic questions. Is the card too powerful? And is the card disrupting normal play? Yes and yes, pretty much. When it comes to determining the overall power level of a deck, there is a lot of data points we can take into consideration. We can look at the metagame and see whether it's stagnated due to a dominated strategy or if there is diversity in a deck archetype people are playing. We can also look at a deck's win rate and how other decks in the format fare when matched against it. And if either of those scenarios appear to show an issue, we try to identify which cards may be pushing the deck beyond a format healthy power levels, while Nexus of Fate is not a healthy card, plain and simple. Nexus of Fate doesn't really fit any of the power-based criteria for banning. Well, yes it does. When it made a bit of a splash leading into the Pro Tour 25th anniversary and the re-emergence of Turtle Fog as a standard legal deck archetype, it only appeared in 6 out of the 165 standard deck lists. Yet at Star City Games, it was in the 4 top 25 decks and one of the top 10. None of which made it in the top 4, while it was a 4th place finish at the Star City Games Standard Open in Dallas. Looking at the recent Grand Prix, and last time Nexus of Fate made it into the top 8 was in the hands of Eric Froelich during GP Las Vegas back in August. With the release of Guilds of Ravnica and the rotation of both Kaladesh and Amiket blocks, we saw the meta reshape itself, which is usually a good indicator of a healthy format. Nexus of Fate still had a place in a few control decks, but it was by no means dominating the format. Standard has continued to be a diverse play environment, supporting a number of archetypes and counterplay between them. Despite all this, Nexus of Fate continued to be a hot topic discussion, particularly when it came to MTG Arena. We talked about it. We've seen all our pro players talk about it. We've seen our community talk about it. Since most of the conversations we've had very little to do with its overall power level, this brings us to the next question we try to address when we consider banning a card. With the disrupting normal play, well, when someone loops the game 2, 3, 4 hours, yeah, it's disrupting play. This is admittedly a rather subjective criteria and is one of the reasons why we thought long and hard about why we wanted to address Nexus of Fate. This isn't the first time we've talked into considering the disruption of normal play when it came to determining whether a card warranted a ban. The Eggs deck is probably the most prolific example of this, but we've also seen it play a factor in the most recent bannings of Aetherworks Marvel and Clark Can Ironworks. As anyone who's been looped by Nexus of Fate can attest, the card can easily and significantly disrupt normal play. The tricky thing with this situation is what makes Nexus of Fate frustrating, a combination of its design and how technology handles the ability to repeat actions. No. It's the package that goes around this card makes it so you can get up to Nexus of Fate mana level and just start looping it. I've seen this as early as turn 4. You typically don't run into the same situations in tabletop because our rules don't allow for certain shortcuts. Well, aka shuffling your deck. When looping a sequence in tabletop, if both players mutually understand what's going on, it's okay to fast forward until the loop is broken, either because the game is won or the player looping has reached their desired board state. Worst case scenario, players in competitive play can also call over a judge to keep a stalled game moving. I'm sorry, I'm stuffed up this morning because it's morning. Worst case scenario, players can call over a judge to get a stalled game moving. The same cannot be said for digital environments, where you must explicitly identify each game choice every time you wish to make it. There's no calling over the game's rules engine to explain the situations, to skip ahead, or to issue a ruling on whether the actions taken could be considered stalling or slow play, at least not yet. So obviously they're working on an actual fix by what I'm getting from that, but currently right now that's not on their top priority list. Part of the challenge of these kinds of loops is that even if we manage to win the digital arms race to force the game concede, when game states remain unchanged, they could still be disruptive to what we consider normal play. Using Nexus of Fate as an example, win conditions sometimes take a half hour or more to finish, with the majority of all the time being non-interactive. Yeah, who wants to sit there and watch their opponent play their deck? This said, there's also cases where Nexus sees play and resolves games in a non-disruptive fashion, which is why banning it has been debated for so long. For now, to reduce play disruptions, we've decided to ban Nexus of Fate in MTG Arena in Arena Standard Best of 1 formats: Play, Ranked Play, and the Constructed Event. We're leaving it unbanned in traditional best of 3 formats because you can turn around and sideboard against it. That's the main reason. Where in best of 1 you do not get a sideboard, it makes it very, very difficult to do that. In many ways, traditional format, pretty much they're saying what it is. With the sideboarding. That said, we continue to work on ways to improve MTG Arena handles cards like Nexus of Fate and other combo-based interactions in general. Nexus of Fate is not a combo because it's a card all in its own. This is great timing. I think that they're doing this with the Mythic Invitational at the end of March in mind also, so very happy to see this going forward. Anyway, just wanted to do this quick update because this was breaking news this morning, and I hope everyone has a good day.